Hey, welcome here to the Montana Sportscast podcast as we get ready to check in with head coach Troy Purcell from Carroll College. I'm Paul Panisco alongside Bob Britterod. Bobby, how you doing?
Well, kind of scratchy on the throat today.
I just wanted to hear your voice again, that's all.
I feel like I've been coaching again is what I feel like.
Well, again, as I mentioned, head coach Troy Purcell from Carroll College joining us. Coach, thanks for your time, and how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's a nice, cool morning this morning. Had a little bit of flakes coming down at 6:00, and had a good practice. And just looking forward for the rest of the day and getting the guys in here for meetings and getting ready for tomorrow morning's practice also. So yeah, just keep moving forward.
Again, we appreciate your time. You guys are incredibly busy this time of year and all the time for that matter. So we do thank you for a few minutes of your time, my man.
Oh, you bet. Thank you.
So let's go back to last week, a huge win over Rocky. What was the energy like coming through the bye week? You know, that bye week kind of late in the year really sets up a lot of interesting kind of thoughts, I guess, on practice and what you do. Kind of walk us through that bye week and preparing for Rocky and the great win over the Bears.
Yeah, it gives us an opportunity to deep dive and kind of see what our tendencies are, through the first games and see what other teams are looking at, tendency wise. And then it also gives you a chance to, get back into your special teams drill work and technique and be able to, like you do in fall camp, because that's one part of the game that kind of gets, at least in my experience, that gets kind of put on the wayside, is that the drill work and everything with that. So, and then just getting some healthy bodies back and getting some downtime so they can come back fresh and finish the season off the right way. So it was definitely, you never know. You jump into those bye weeks, and if you come back and win, it was a successful bye week. If you don't, then you go, man, we did something really wrong here. We got to, change the bye week next year. So just depends on, like I said, a lot of the success and having an opportunity to play Rocky at home, such a great team like that, and having played them in our field was definite advantage for us also.
Was it entering that week? Did you look at it as you guys were in playoff mode already? Looking at the idea of, we know how hard the Frontier Conference is. We know how good our conference is, but we also know how hard it is to get more than one team into the playoffs. The idea of having two losses at that point, is Carroll College in playoff mode already as of last week?
I think every game is so important in the Frontier. We try not to dwell on too many situations and just look at that day, get better that day. And if we continue to do that, then the season's going to, end like we want it to end, because everybody's goal to be a national champion. But what are you doing today to make, trying to achieve that goal? How are you getting better? Are you, is your team improving throughout the season? Are you stacking practices? Are you improving on techniques? And the teams that do that during the year, by the end of the year, they're pretty good, solid team. If you lose a game along the way, you know what I mean? It's a hard thing, because they're tight games, and but we're never. Everybody has playoffs in the back of their minds, but our biggest, if it's 0-6 team or a 6-0 team, you got to come up and play your best game in the Frontier Conference. And like I said, if you're doing that, you're improving, then the playoffs will happen or conference championships will happen. But you got to take care of today first.
Yeah, and that's the honest to goodness truth in this conference, top to bottom. You mentioned the idea of scouting yourself and getting better. What do you like that you're doing now as opposed to the beginning of the year? How has Carroll stepped forward and gotten better each week?
I think, on the offensive side, there were some young receivers, young players out there. And and again, with our young offensive line, we had a lot of guys coming back. A lot of those guys were just young. I mean, so given an opportunity to have our, like I said, our undercap, especially in the receiving room with our receivers there, those guys are probably our youngest room. And they've really grown and they've really matured. And, the game is, I think, slowed down for them. And then also with our quarterback, he was a true freshman last year, had 7 games. Now he has, another 6 games under his belt, and or 7 games, or whatever, or 6 games, whatever it is. I don't even know. And but he's really grown. He's really starting to understand the offense more, where to get to his reads and release the ball. And then the last game versus Rocky, he stepped up another level and was able to do some stuff with his feet to be able to extend some plays and put us in some better situations without taking a sack and holding that ball a little bit too long in the pocket. So, and then defensively, we're a pretty veteran crew. The secondary was the ones that, needed to get a little bit more, like our receivers, just needed to get more field time, more opportunities to have the game slow down for them. And I think our safeties and corners have done that. Our veteran group is probably the interior, the creatures, we call them, the D-line and the linebackers. And so when those guys can get to go to work, it's pretty exciting. It's fun seeing them go against somebody else besides us. And like, CoCab just blew the play up again. Garrett Warden just blew the play up again. Or, that one guy on a, negative, then it really exposes an offense. And so, so I think just the overall continuation of, like I said, that one goal of the day, how to get better, whether it's a 6-inch step, whether it's eye progression. We always tell them to do a measurable goal each day when you go out to practice, and I'll ask them after practice, what'd you get better at? Well, I wanted 100% pass completion today. I wanted 100% catches today. I want my hand placement, inside hand placement, 100% today. So you do those things each day. Well, you get 100 practices in. You concentrated on 100 different things you can get better at as a player, and it give you a why and a purpose for practice, along with everything else that goes along with practice. And I think the guys have really bought into that and understanding that, getting better each day, getting better each rep, you'll get the rewards that you want.
As you prepare for Eastern Oregon this weekend, Coach Camp is that's another one. We're in the Frontier Conference. You look at their record, 1 win coming this past weekend over Northern. You cannot discount Eastern. They always have talent, especially on the wings, it seems like. And Coach Camp always has them ready to roll. Talk about what you've seen out of Eastern as you get ready for that one.
Yeah, I know. The first time we played them down there, it was a tight game. We threw at 5 turnovers. They threw some pretty good fade balls in that first half. We were down, had to find a way to struggle to get out of that. You get 5 turnovers in a football game, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to win that game.
Yeah, you aren't going to win too many of those.
No, not at all. And so pretty proud of our guys to be able to come back and persevere and find a way to get it done, especially down there. And there's some teams that have other teams as not their number, but they play well. They match up well. And Eastern Oregon always matches up well versus Carroll, just like Rocky matches up well versus Tech. There's those certain ones that just kind of, it doesn't matter what the record is. It's kind of a crosstown game in a way that, they always play good versus us, So Coach Camp will have them ready to go, and he's a great coach, been down there for, I think 13 years or whatever it is now. And so, and an outstanding squad. They're in games. Had a great win last week versus Northern over there. And again, they played us tough, so we have to be ready to go. We have to be prepared to go. And it's 4 quarters of football, and try to, keep it close in the fourth quarter and find a way to win. So, we're expecting a great showing here on Saturday also.
Give us your take. Let's talk conference overall. Arizona Christian, recently announced they'll join as a football member, joining the likes of obviously College of Idaho and Southern and Eastern. What are your initial thoughts about Arizona Christian? And give us, obviously as a private school, you have a little bit different take than maybe a public institution does. Give us the take on Arizona Christian joining the Frontier Conference and the good, bad, and from Coach Purcell.
Yeah, no, we got to get in the Frontier Conference, and that anytime you play somebody twice, it's hard to beat somebody twice, in those parity and those games. That's why 3 teams last year were at 7-3. We ended up 6-4. The COVID year, it's 3 teams at 3-1. There's all these different things that come into play all the time. So the more people, it'd be nice to get 2 more teams in. Give us 11 teams, then you got a 10-game schedule, and everything counts, and it's and you don't have to play anybody twice. So
and 2 automatic bids.
Oh, do you?
If, like I say, if we went over 10, you'd have 2 automatic bids, which to the playoffs, which would be another really nice addition for the Frontier.
I had no idea. All I know is, so I didn't know you had an automatic bid if you had that many people in a conference. So, so there's another positive. There's another positive. So, and I don't know if that's going to happen, in the next. I know there's a few rumors of a couple schools thinking about coming in. But, having Arizona Christian in, it'll be awesome. I think it'll be, again, a good addition. We have long trips anyway. So, whether you're on jumping on an airplane, and we're fortunate to be able to fly down to Southern Oregon. I don't think we're going to bust down to Arizona though. And, maybe we can, have those games in the later part of the year. We can go down there when it's about 80 degrees and not minus 20 up here. So we'll see, but I'm glad they're in the conference, and it's exciting times when we have new members in, new blood in the conference. And it'd be very, very, they're a great team down there, very competitive. And I think it'll just be a bonus. Like I said, it'd be nice to get 2 more, get to that 11 teams, and I think that would eliminate all the double games. So that's the ultimate goal in my mind.
It's amazing how coaches are fighting over those late season games on the road. It's crazy. Everybody who suggested their team would be like, all right, fine. We'll go to Arizona. We'll take the long trip in November. That's good.
You bet.
And as of right now, we're looking at when Arizona Christian joins next year, we'll play everybody once and possibly a second non-conference is for one team. Is that kind of what's being thrown around currently, Coach?
I'm not buying anything. There's a lot for me. There's got to be a lot more work to that. Again, we wanted to be able to go and get away from the double teams, but we didn't want to have to play a conference person or player or somebody in the conference and make it not count. So, if we're going to play it, we better make it count. And so there's different structures. There's a 3-pod thing that kind of came out. And then there's other structures that have came out on scheduling. So I think we're still a little bit ways, from that. I don't think we have to be in a big hurry to, hey, this is what we're doing. And, until we have a chance to get the season over with and talk about it a little bit amongst coaches and athletic directors and schools, what the best, the scenario is to go in, because this just could be a 1-year schedule. If some other teams come into the Frontier Conference, then we're right back where we were before. So we just got to make sure it's clean for everybody the fairest way. Somebody's always going to think, they got the short stick on it, but that's just kind of how scheduling goes sometimes. We just got to wait and see, get a little bit deeper into the sauce there and really deep dive it and figure out the best schedule for the Frontier. And again, I think that's probably have to happen after the season.
And then that brings us to the point of, we always talk to coaches and the idea of non-conference, how hard it is to get non-conference games. If everybody was kind of forced to go fishing in the same seas for a non-conference game or even 2 at that point, would that be real difficult on a shortened year?
Well, if you have like next year, I think we kind of have Linfield, in the books there a little bit. I think Western has Dickey in the books. I think Tech has Simon Fraser. Yeah. I think Eastern has Whitworth, I think a home and away. So there'd be another game. So I didn't have to go very far to find a guy, to find one game. I don't know about 2 games, but at least for one game, we didn't have to go very far to find one. So hopefully there's some other teams out there that want that opportunity also. Maybe there's another bye week that they would, jump into it, whether it's in the North Star up there or if it's a big, Division III school, over, by the over on the coast there somewhere. That is one problem. If you don't have a chance to get to as many games as you want, that is, always a concern. But, like I said, it didn't take very long to find the one for us. So it's got to, he's got to, put some time in on it. And I think there's teams out there. You just got to go find them, I think.
Is Saturday your senior day?
Yeah, Saturday be the senior day. Yeah.
What give us the take on what does senior day mean to you?
Just, this will be the last time these guys, your co-cabs and your Sasanos and your Rex Irbies and your Matt Burgesses, and be the last time they'll be in the stadium. I don't think, again, we're not, going to hold it off for hopefully, having a playoff game here, because with 2 losses, you're probably not going to happen. So it's just You start this game in 5th grade, 6th grade, and you grind and you work your way all the way up, and then finally get into that college ranks. And a lot of kids, ended it, their senior year of high school, and there's only 3% or 4% get to play college football and have that opportunity to extend that another 4 or 5 years. And it's the last time. It's such a special sport that you never have anything like it again, where we have this camaraderie, a bunch of team members working together for one common goal. And the game just brings you together to meet these guys and to have that relationship of 120 guys that you're going to know for the rest of your life. And the stories will get greater, and you might become a better player as the years go on. But there's still, even when I, was back here, and those guys still come for homecoming, and you get notes and texts and congratulations, and they know the grind, and they know the special part about playing football, in general, let alone college, let alone Carroll College. And to have them go out one more time in Nelson Stadium and smell the grass, and kind of look at the stands and see your grandparents and see what you've experienced and how you became, how you've grown as a young man from day one when you got here just as a pup to being a mature, some of our guys are, I think, 25 years old now because of the COVID stuff, but
Yeah.
they've been here a while on some of them. So, but that part is special, and I like to dedicate it to the senior that day. A lot of times we dedicate, certain games to certain, family members or people, or you look yourself in the mirror. But this one's a, real important one to dedicate to the singers, for that's their last time that they'll ever be in Nelson Stadium, the last time they'll be at a home game. So it's sobering. It's, it makes you really think. So enjoy it, enjoy the game, and be able to look at that senior in the eye at the end of the game, say, I played it for you today, and have a good result.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time again, and good luck this weekend, and good luck moving forward.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Right, thanks, Coach.
Right.
Coach Troy Purcell, ladies and gentlemen, Carroll College, joining us here at the Montana Sportscast podcast. Mr. Ritterod.
Yeah. Let me get you up here. Where'd you go? You disappeared on me. There you go.
I took off. I was out.
Yeah, I thought maybe you ran away on me or something. I didn't know for sure. So,
no, I was just going to say, Carroll finds themselves, with their 4 games in. You've got those 2 home games today, senior day, or this weekend, senior day for them. And they're kind of in that playoff mode. They have their last 2 games on the road, which certainly it could be more of an uphill climb, but they really showed themselves well this past Saturday against the Bears at home.
Yeah, and both these teams, we're going to talk to Coach Norris here shortly, but both these teams this weekend is their final home game, and then they go on the road for the last 2 games. And of course, Carroll, that big game, that last game will be against College of Idaho. That could really be interesting.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. So, and it's huge. I mean, we talk about winning on the road, and more importantly, winning at home. And Coach Norris joining us as they're getting ready to roll this weekend. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Hey, it's good to see you, man, and we appreciate your time, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
This is that time of year. I mean, it's not like you, as a head coach, have a whole lot of that free time, but this is that time of year where the nose to the grindstone, and we certainly appreciate any time you'll give us, bud.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd say the glamorous life of a small college football coach, you go home and get all your warm gear to go and practice while you let the dogs out. And living in small town USA, you got to do those things.
Well, we just talked to, Coach Purcell at Carroll coming off a huge win. And, the same goes for you guys. Congratulations, knocking off College of Idaho at your place. Everybody knows how hard it is to get wins in Dillon, as you guys make it impossible for teams to come down there and hang wins. And it was a big weekend for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it hasn't been so impossible this year, but in the past we had made that happen. So we're happy to get a win. I was just more happy that we played a game worth playing and up to our potential. We hadn't played outside of Eastern Oregon, and we hadn't played a game that I would say was even near the standards of our program and our potential of our team this year. So that's been pretty frustrating, but we're kind of going on a reset and during the bye week, and hopefully we're getting back to how we used to do things.
That's a great point. Walk us through that a little bit, because you have some really significant senior leadership, and obviously you as a head coach are able to get them going the right direction. That bye week, walk us through how you get kind of everybody back on the same page and playing Bulldog football as you know it.
Yeah, basically we started over, kind of just went back to maybe doing the things that we did that got us to where we were able to be a successful program that was competing for championships every year, was able to win one. We'd forgotten that you have to do those things plus some more if you want to continue to grow. And, that's what we did. We just kind of went back to the old ways of how we did some things and got tough again. And we're just going to push forward, try to improve in the things we needed to improve on and get ready to play a good football game versus a good team.
Well, you bring up that tough word, and I think that's one that is always, for me, is incredibly synonymous with Western. It doesn't matter, what side of the ball they're being led by, whether it's the linebacking core through the years that are at the top. You've got a guy by the name of John Jun that, when we start talking about short list of best players in this conference right now, his name is towards the top of the pile. Doesn't matter where the leadership lies. Western is always kind of known to be just tough as nails, and the idea of getting back to that had to feel good this past weekend.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I mean, I think we'd forgotten a little bit who we were, and tried to be something that we weren't, and so I was pleased that the guys got back on board and started to do the things that were necessary for us to win games.
Talk about, as Bob mentioned, while between interviews there, we were talking about the idea that this is your final home game as well. It is senior day for the Bulldogs. Talk about what senior day means to you and to this group of guys that are here.
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of time with these guys, especially this crew. A few of these guys have spent an extra year and stuck around to continue to play. You've done a lot of work together. You get to know each other very, very well. And it's sad to see them go, but it's also exciting as well, knowing that the next adventure they're going to go on is going to be incredible. And we've had a little something to do with hopefully the success that they're going to have on it. But then you're kind of looking to it at the next page. You get that as a coach, you get the next page, you get the next chapter, so to speak, and you look forward to what those guys are going to look like and how you're going to need to train those guys and what are the things you're going to do. But mostly for me it's just we need to go out and produce. We need to put the best plan together, and the players need to put the best productive day together so we can go win that last ball game and on your home field. And it doesn't look like we're going to have very many more of those at Vigilante. And so that's a place that, I've coached and played in over 100 games on that field. I just love it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. That has to be hard because, there's excitement for the new facility and new digs and everything else. But on the other side of that, like you say, Vigilante is one of those stadiums that has life. Like it has vitality to it in its own right, and the idea of leaving that is probably going to be hard.
Yeah, nobody likes it but us. So I mean, it's that is what it is. Kind of like your old sweatshirt, man. Nobody else wants it, but it's your only sweatshirt.
What is the timeline as far as moving to the new facilities, or when the new facilities are rolling, if you don't mind giving us that?
Yeah, things are going very well. And, it looks that, fall of 2024 is a promising date.
Awesome. Good for you. So let's get ready for Northern. We know what the Frontier Conference presents. Northern might have a 0 in the win column, but we know what this conference is like. Talk about what you see out of Northern and how preparations have gone this week.
I like what they're doing, how they're trying to, build their program. You can see they're starting defense first. And as a guy, I've put my focus on the offensive side as my duties. I see more of their defense than I do their offense and that. And they are playing in a very just aggressive, risk-taking, style of defense. It's really a challenge. You've got to really get ready to go. They put so many guys in the box. There's so much movement. There's so many exchanges and stunts. I mean, they're running 5 or 6 different coverages behind different things. So they give you a lot to prepare for, and you need to be really well versed on what you're going to be able to do that week. Otherwise, they're going to have guys coming free, and they got 2 or 3 guys who just play with absolutely reckless abandon. So you need to be really ready to rock and roll. Offensively, they're banged up and that, but they're running the football and they're using some multiple tight end formations and some things that cause you some alignment issues on defense. That's something that we've had challenges with all season, and so that's a good challenge for those guys, our young defensive coaches, to make sure we can put guys in the right place at the right time to be able to have the best opportunity to be successful versus those formations. And then they're taking some chances on special teams, so we need to we need to be on our game. They make you be on your game, and that's a challenge and a challenge that I enjoy as a coach. See if we can get our guys, how focused we can get them, and motivated to stay locked in throughout the entirety of the game. When teams are going to be doing some stuff against you, they're going to be trying to take advantage of some of the stuff you do, and they're willing to be a little riskier than some of the rest of us.
Let's move into the conference as a whole. Obviously, the big news conference wide is Arizona Christian. Arizona Christian joining as a football member next year. Give us how that information hits you. Give us the good, the bad, and how you think it'll influence the conference and Western more importantly.
Well, the only good part of it is you eliminate another team that you play twice. One of the hardest things in sport is to play a football team twice. That's why the NFL does it in that division format, and this one, they're normally some of the hardest games out there. I remember Coach Halk, a couple years ago, they had to repeat against Weber, and he said it's the hardest thing you do coaching is to play a good team twice. And we do that. We've done that historically, for as long as the Frontier
forever
has been going. And it is hard to do, especially, when I started out doing this, Mike Van Diest and his crew were at the top of their game. And man, a second game against those guys was brutal. Coach Van Diest, Coach Howard Hoagie, those guys, man, it was hard to compete sometimes when you were just building a team, you didn't quite have the talent. And then when you were matched up equally, just that experience and that stuff they had. So that's a big positive. And, obviously the negative is the travel and how that's going to impact student athlete experience, how that's going to impact academics, how it's going to impact budgets.
The idea of getting closer to only playing everybody once is something that it's funny how we look at that, where we're excited about playing everybody once, but then those rivalries, where we're thinking about,
sure,
well, we won't have Tech Western twice a year or whatever it is. It's funny how the mind can grab both of those and on one hand be ecstatic about it, but then whine about it afterwards. That's the whining part is mainly me.
Yeah, well, no, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I'm so excited we get to play Tech a second time this year. They got us the first time. So, you have that revenge factor going some years. But then, other years, like sometimes, you might not want to play that team. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're not good enough. I don't know. But I think that's been part of it as well. As a player, and I played in the Frontier Conference, and playing Carroll and Tech twice was awesome. The preparation was always the same and exciting and that, but it's hard to beat people 2 times. And that's really this year, the Frontier has been, I really think there's 5 teams and we're all the same. I still put us up in that, we just played so poorly for 3 games in a row. And then, when we put it together, we're able to beat a top 10 team in the country. Montana Tech's having a wonderful year, and Rocky's strong again, and Carroll's playing well. So College of Idaho, they're doing well. So a lot of parity, which is which is fun too. You know, I enjoy that part of it as well. And the challenge in this league that I think is different than a lot of the other ones. It doesn't mean ours is any better. I mean, there's some the top end teams around the country in those leagues. Man, we got to play one last year. Whew, you know, they're incredibly talented and well coached. They're awesome. They have good leagues, but I just feel like ours up and down. You know, there's a lot of parity, man. It's really good. You if you're not ready to play and play well each week, you're not going to win. And some weeks you're going to get pounded, and it's just a challenge. You know, it's just not like that everywhere else in the country, and that's okay. That is what it is.
Is it, Bobby? Do you have anything for him before we cut him free, my friend?
Well, Coach, I haven't said much. I'm kind of under the weather here, but just want to congratulate you on having a couple of players of the week in the Frontier Conference, and Judd being the national player of the or offensive player of the week in NAIA. Quite an honor there for those boys.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's nice to get those awards and that. I mean, we used to get those things a lot, you know, but it just hasn't been that type of year for us. But I hope, you know, with the reset we did and playing this last 4-week season we got in front of us, that and we can continue that path forward. So a lot of work's been put into building a really good program here, and I'm proud of both of those two boys for how they played. I mean, they stepped up, and I think that's the best game John's ever played, and that dude's played some games.
Yeah. Yeah, that he has. And then there's a lot to be said about, you know, winning out of here and finishing the season 6-4. So, you know, everybody's watching out for the Bulldogs here over the last 3 weeks, man.
Yeah. It's going to be easier said than done, brother. We got to go to Butte and Billings at the end. So
how's that tiebreaker rule looking this year?
Couldn't tell you. You know what? I didn't look at it last year either. I just kept winning.
Yep.
So don't win, you don't go anywhere. That's how that thing works, man. So I wasn't invited to the special tiebreaker meeting. So I just decided we just keep working on winning.
That's the deal. Well, Coach, again, we appreciate your time, man, and look forward to what's going to kind of be tossed around these last 3 weeks in the Frontier.
Should be super fun. Yeah, it should be awesome. I'm looking forward to it myself.
All right, man. Thanks, well, thank you.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate your time.
All right. Take care, bud.
Bye-bye, boys.
So, again, our thanks to Coach Norris, Coach Purcell for joining us here as the Frontier Conference, 3 weeks left. And, yeah, when we had the commission on and we said that there was a chance of, you know, two teams getting into the playoffs, well, you can crumble that piece of paper up and throw it in the garbage. Will be I would have to assume a one-team conference here as you show that College of Idaho at the top of the pile. We have that log jam at 5-2 with Tech, Carroll, and Rocky. Western and SOU sitting at 3-4, Eastern 1-6, and Northern sitting at 0-7. Yeah, I mean, there's a real outside chance, but boy, it feels like that is such a pipe dream at this point.
Yeah, you know, Paul, and we talk about kind of laughing about that tiebreaker, but, you know, of course, the first thing it goes to head-to-head, and then it goes points against. So that third column there could come in to be pretty important at the end of the season here.
Well, and doesn't the head-to-head only matter if they've played the same number of times? Because, you know, Tech and Carroll have played once, but Tech and Rocky will play twice by the time this thing's over.
Yeah, I don't know for sure how that was kind of the big thing last year.
Yeah. I mean, because that has to play a factor is how many times you played, certainly.
Yeah. So I don't know if it counts for 2 votes instead of 1 or
yeah, who knows?
-2 or whatever. But, you know, I know that it was quite a controversy last year. Hopefully they got something straight because it's I mean, the writing's on the wall. I can see it happening again.
Yeah, truly. And there's certainly some big games left. As we mentioned, it is going to be harder for Carroll and Western, in my opinion. You know, you have home games this week, but then you go on the road those last 2 weeks, and that is not easy. I mean, winning at somebody else's field is never an easy thing in this conference. So that is certainly something that is going to be hard, in my opinion, for Carroll and Western.
Well, and I think, to be honest with you, I think whoever wins the Tech Rocky game, whoever loses that game is in trouble this weekend. I think that's definitely the biggest game of the week.
Yeah,
this week. But but whoever loses that game is going to be left in the cold for sure with three losses.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. And, and the one thing we continue to hear from coaches is, people battle, teams battling injury. This conference is tough as nails, and, to try and get through it with people healthy is a big deal. And we're seeing teams really starting to, I don't know if struggle is the right word, but we're seeing teams being impacted by injury as this season goes on. And we still have a lot of football yet to be played.
Yeah, and I think that's we talked about how deep some teams were, last week even, but I think we're finding out how fragile some of those teams are now.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's a great point. I think it's a great point.
It's definitely gonna make a difference. But we, look at these two teams, these coaches we interviewed today. Like I said, Carroll's kind of got I think they definitely control their own destiny. If they win the next two, Eastern and Southern, then if they can go to College of Idaho and win that one, I think they're sitting in pretty good shape.
Those last two road trips are awful. I mean, you're hopping on a bus and going to Ashland, and then you're turning around and going to Eastern. That's not an easy road in, and that Southern team is a good football team right now. I think they're a lot like Carroll in the fact that they've kind of found their identity here as they've gone on. But I'm with you. Carroll was a team that I thought was really good at the end of the year last year, and they were young. I mean, they had a ton of true freshmen playing a year ago. And if they're finding their footing a little bit, you've got to watch out. Those Saints are going to be tough.
Yeah. And I think Coach Purcell basically put it right out there for us today. They had 6 games last year, 7 games last year. They've got 7 games this year. They got 14. They've got twice as many games as they had last year experience. And the big thing is, and he said it, the game is slowed down for him. That's huge. That's huge.
And that was one of the things that, my broadcast partner, Ron Haskett, and I talked about is the Carroll receiving core had trouble when we saw him play Tech. And that if that group is getting together and getting ready to roll, and that's awesome. They're going to be a much better football team because of it. And, like I say, the path in for everybody's awful. I mean, it's just, the idea we sat and talked whether one loss was going to win this thing. Well, now the College of Idaho with one loss, and they still have a lot of football yet to be played in front of them as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It going to be an interesting end of the season once again in the Frontier Conference.
Yeah. Big time. Big time.
Yeah. So what's your predictions on the week, my friend?
Oh my goodness. You're going to make me go there. All right, let's go grab our football schedule. So Eastern is at Carroll. I think Carroll gets that. Southern Oregon is at the College of Idaho. I think College of Idaho wins that, but I think Southern is a better team down the line. I think Western gets Northern, that one in Dillon. And then Tech Rocky is ugly. I like Tech personally.
I like Rocky.
I bet you do. I go back, Tech has only 2 games where they've turned the football over, and one of them was against, they had 5 turnovers against Rocky. Coach Purcell said it, the idea of 5 turnovers, you're not going to win many of those, and Tech did not on their side. Carroll did on theirs. I think if Tech plays the football they want to play, I think they win in an ugly game. Those games at Herb Clint between those two are always really good. They're always really well attended, usually have a packed house. So that obviously, as you mentioned, is the game of the week, and I think a big game. And I think Tech has to, and I think they will get themselves a win in Billings.
All right, I'm gonna disagree with you.
All right, what on all of them?
No, just the last one. No, I think Rocky's going to be stinging. I think after that embarrassing loss at Carroll, I think it probably brought him back to reality a little bit, like Coach Norris said there when we talked to him. We had to bring our kids back to reality and realize who we are and not what we think we are. I think that might be some of the thing there with Rocky, but like you say, I think it's going to be a good game. In fact, I'm going to go so far as say that they're going into overtime, Paul.
I kind of continually go back to the last time they played there, and Tech went up pretty big early. I think they were up, like 28-0 or something early. And then Rocky and Nathan Dick came storming back. And, we almost had an overtime in that ball game. And, I would not be surprised at all. I think it'll be a tremendous football game. I think either way you want to slice it.
Yeah. Be fun one to watch.
Agreed.
Some people got to do soccer though.
Well, so be it. Work gets in the way.
Well, I'm going to throw some volleyball standings up here.
Okay.
Maybe. And we'll chat about that just for a second. There's a huge volleyball game coming up Saturday at Rocky. Tech's going to come to town and take on the Bears in volleyball. And you can kind of see there by the standings, Paul, those two teams have kind of separated themselves from the rest of the conference.
Yeah, that they have. As this season's gone on, that is the case. Now Tech is looking at an 11-game winning streak. They've won, I said, they've swept their run through the Frontier Conference play, beat Providence to start things off this past weekend, and that is a big one. And it always is. I mean, you look at historically, Tech, Rocky, and Providence, and then you throw in Carroll, and I have to say congratulations to Coach Tutty for going into the Montana Tech Hall of Fame this past weekend as the Carroll volleyball coach. There's a lot of truth to the rumor. She was wearing green at the induction ceremony too. We have to throw that in there. But she's incredible. She's a great coach and certainly a great ambassador for the game. But this is a big weekend with Tech and Rocky throwing down in Billings.
When we talk about the sports being so competitive, and this is probably the biggest spread that I've seen in volleyball in I don't know, I've started paying a little bit more attention maybe the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
But typically the Frontier is a lot closer than this in volleyball than what it is this year.
It certainly kind of feels that way. I top to bottom. I mean, you look at Western right there at 1-5, and they beat Tech going into the tournament to start the season. And
right.
I think it's another one where we talk about parity. There's a few records here that might not jump off the page at you, but watch out. They're playing really good volleyball.
Yeah, and that good old tournament time. That's when it all happens.
Yeah,
and
that's the deal.
That will be in Butte.
It is
the Frontier Conference tournament.
Yeah, well, that's exciting.
Mr. Panisco, let's talk a little bit about some basketball. Fill me in because I got to do a basketball game in 2 days.
Good luck.
I hope I can talk.
Yeah, good luck. Gosh, it's interesting to see where things are going to go. You look at kind of the national presence that we were shown this last year, as far as Carroll and Tech and how good some of these programs are. We're going to have some fun this year. I think Western's going to be very good on the men's side. You look at the talking men's side right now. I think Carroll's men are good. They're picked number 1. Tech graduated a lot, but I think they're going to be really good. They bring back what is now the Frontier Conference. What was it? The preseason conference poll, and Caleb Bellich. Belly is the player of the year. I don't know how much you lean into those preseason polls, but certainly a good jumping point. And I think the men's side is going to be really good. I think a lot of you look at the coaches. I mean, that's kind of where I look at. You look at how good the coaches are in our conference, and I think that dictates an awful lot of what is going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. And it's just one of those things, boy. Every night, you better come to play in basketball because it is really tough. And of course you got the men's side, Northern always scares me, and Coach Keller up at Providence, he's been awful quiet. We're going to have to get him on here because I think he must have something sneaky up his sleeve up there, Steve.
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of with you on that. Yeah, he has been. We keep talking about all the other men's programs, and you hear about the other men's programs, but Steve's been really below the radar right now.
Yeah. I think we need to get him on here and chat with him about that. See what he's hiding. He's got to be hiding something.
It does feel like the men's side has a couple teams that have real possibilities of going deep into the national tournament. And that's kind of my opinion to start us. I think there is some incredibly good talent coming up on the men's side. And that's one, just get out and support these teams. The basketball play right now is going to be at a high level. And then if somehow the men can be outdone, it's by the women. I think the women's side of the Frontier Conference is going to be a murderer's row, and I think some of the level of play this year is going to be just off the charts.
Well, I think both men's and women's, but I think women's especially.
Yep.
You cannot lose. You cannot lose at home.
No, you cannot, and you have to try and steal some on the road. I think we're going to see. You look at what's going on at Carroll, and the Carroll women's program is going to be exceptional, and the Western women.
Yeah.
Coach Woolley's continues to do an incredible job, and what he brings back is incredibly good. And just across the board, I think we're going to. You look at what Northern does, and Coach Moe. I know this is going to come as a shock. They're going to play defense and have her. You might have missed the memo. But I think, I think every game is going to be incredibly important, and we're going to see really high level basketball this year.
Yeah, I do too, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun year, I think, and glad to see that they're going to move that tournament to one location. The Frontier Conference tournament. I just think that's going to add so much to the game, and it'll mean so much more to those players too to go in and play a tournament under one roof, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And you go back to the years where it was played, at the Butte Civic Center, and then was at the Maroon Activity Center under one location. And maybe I'm biased, but I loved it. I mean, it was, you go in, you could sit and watch games all day. I think it's going to be pretty special under one roof in Great Falls this year. That's something to look forward to.
So let's one maybe last thought here, but the University of Providence women, I guess, playing in the gold medal game down in Mexico.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's exciting, and that's I'm not sure. Geez, I think I talked about everybody else on the women's side, but I didn't even bring up Providence. Maybe because they're competing at an international level. But you look at what Coach has done, and he always those kind of freshman recruits that come in and change our conference. Himmelberger has had so many of those. You even go back to you look at like Parker Essery and Maldonado, and you go back to what was it, Letter, and you look at some of those young ladies he's brought in that have just changed the landscape. He graduates some more, and I assume that he'll do what he continually does, and just get tremendous recruits that come in as freshmen and kind of change the landscape.
Yeah, I think a key right there is he has those kids for 4 years.
Yep, exactly.
That's he builds them throughout their career, and I think that pays off to a bunch at the end.
Yep, I completely agree.
Well, Mr. Paul, anything else?
No, I think we're at that time of year where we have about 9 sports crossing over each other, so it could get fun here for a few weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I've got a basketball game Thursday, and I think I'm actually going to go watch the Tech Rocky volleyball game Saturday.
Very nice.
And then a couple basketball games on Sunday, and
it's busy.
Drink a lot of tea and try to get my voice back.
Yeah, we'll pump Theraflu into you. You'll be fine. It'll be good.
Yeah. Well, once again, thanks, Paul, for coming on and helping out with this thing. And we need to take probably a day, and I think we need to go live and let people ask us some questions so we can make people mad at us or something. I don't know, but
that seems fitting.
To kind of explain what we're doing when we get going a little bit more here later on. We're going to do something with high school sports. We'll be more active there. Just don't want to jump in the middle of the season.
Yeah. So, and on that, thanks to, Coach Purcell, Coach Norris, both joining us here today. And best of luck to their programs and all the programs as we get rolling Saturday.
All right. That'll wrap us up for this week.
All right, my man. I appreciate it.